Welcome to the Sunday service, and I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody for coming along. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's great. It's great to see you all. Thank you very much. Now, to start with, I've got a good friend of mine called Dave, also known as Asprey Park or Asprey Clark on YouTube. Check his channel out, Asprey Clark or Asprey Park, Asprey Clark. But it's Dave. Right, to me and to us is Dave, and I want to introduce Dave, who's going to be reading you some of his poems. So Dave, welcome all right.
Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the end and return back to the beginning, some 3 years ago. And they all cover all of Terry's adventures. And I could think of alternatives to describe them, but we'll cover them all. And most people will be familiar with some of this material. So we're going to start off where we are now with Terry's Sunday service, 14 Boogie Woogie and Gospel Hymns. Who can remember all-nighters at CBGB's, the greater good of the music biz? It's the A&R men and they are in a tiz. A package landed on the desks of the record execs. Brown envelopes with offers to take 5 blank checks, hand-delivered by a lookalike of Toulouse-Lautrec, a disguised Abe Brubeck. On the French label, Gare du Nord, the chairman declared, Sacré bleu, it's a rude record. 2 of them, twice the reward. With artwork by Sabrina, aka Unicorn Cat, herself a songstress in the style of Unicorn. Herself a songstress in the style of Linda Ronstadt. Known to be partial to wearing the old titfer, and for those wondering and confused, that's a hat. 14 Boogie Woogie and Gospel hits. You have to admit our man has raised the standards and thrown down the gauntlet, not put off by Richard Grutter's attempts of counterfeit. Doodled images of Terry resembling some dodgy photo bit, the bootleg bandit. Alias Smith and Jones theming at number 8. In matters of music, he has one big mate, whilst I'm from Cardiff. Unavailable for the big solo guitar riff. Slowhand got the nod, now he's left to think, well what if? A last lost out super backing vocals to Mel and Griff, that would later claim self-defence when he shot Long Trevor's, the sheriff. We know when it comes to matters of self-publicity, Terry is the epitome of modesty, pushing his Sunday service with great tenacity, never one to miss an opportunity. He's been down to Seven Downs Market with Cadillac Roy. They've hatched a plan, a strategic new ploy, selling every copy with a free bucket full of joy, joined by the traditional market call of corroidals, oi oi Savoy on this little light of mine, blasted over the tannoy. Now a double album on red vinyl, with what I've been recording in Nashville, Muswell Hill, or even Southsea Bill, though much closer to home at the Hackney Road studio. Quality audio, move over Guy Garvey and Elbow, what do they know? Plugging it on his channel, Rob James declares, is there anybody left who doesn't know it's available on bandcamp.com? Meanwhile, putting up reverse charge calls from Maine via British Telecom and Schneider Grutter's fakes on CD-ROM. God only knows where they've come from. Copies have even turned up at the newest pop-up shop at Glastonbury this year, Commodities Corner, though the salesman has taken on a new persona, calling herself Sharona. Certainly has the patter and the selling knack, even shifting paper-made pens with no click or clack, and stickers that don't stick, sewn with blue tack, don't ask, no money back. It's Terry's chief lieutenant, but there's no getting away from that Brummie accent. Put one in the chat to get your name called out, it ought to be marked absent. 250 limited edition copies on a first-come, first-served basis, though he'll reject any pleas for a copy gratis. Though for the ladies, they offer a free kiss, and for the boys, a blast of Largo by Dvorak from the ad for Hovis. Thank you. Thank you. So with the mention of pens, the pens have been a sordid affair. There's been questions over the validity of the manufacturer's name. So this is Pendemic. So the Lord of the Manor suffered a setback. The merchandising venture has been forced to backtrack. The quality is in doubt. No click, more clack. The full force of the Parker Pen Company's lawyers swung into action. He has been describing his ballpoint pens as Parker's, a clandestine assertion, a pending prosecution. Terry Supply, Cadillac Roy omitted to mention they were not the genuine article, a lack of propulsion, prone to malfunction. And unlike the Budweiser, when the ink failed to flow, the small print did mention Supply not a million miles from Felixstowe. Well, the clues are there. When the pens arrived in a box marked this way up, the reason was insincere. It was all revealed. They were full of beer. So the pen's origins are now clear. They were made in Sophia. Thank you. Some time ago, Terry managed to get himself a title. How he managed to do it, God only knows. But this will cover the adventure. It's the invite. So the invitation has arrived to take his seat in the House of Lords, or is it just another gig to play some chords? There are accusations he may be a fraud. The documents have been referred to MI5. They now consider, no doubt, it's a contrive, an attempt to hoodwink or perhaps a bribe. The select committee examine the evidence. There are financial irregularities, super chats unspent in the bank, a lack of benevolence. Is it missing a sixpence or tax avoidance? This House of Lords is a pub in Charing Cross where you can buy fake papers under the counter next door in Argos. And now is a good time to mention his love of Demis Roussos. It looks like he's in cahoots with his friend Lord Melbury, his supplier of counterfeit Krugerrands. All transactions are sure to be underhand. Highly far-fetched they are, the top brains in gangland. Well, the truth is out. Terry downloaded the Print Your Own Aristocracy app. You're not suggesting this is a load of crap. That will explain the slow hand clap. Well, they've now gone their separate way. Lord Melbury forced to make a quick getaway, and Terry is now back bashing the St Pancras Steinway. Thank you. We'll do this. No particular order. Don't know if you're aware that Chanel every year will have an international fashion show in some very exotic places. Well, last year they chose the industrial quarter of Manchester. Woo! As far from exotic as you can get. But it starts at one end and finishes yours truly. You know who, you may not know, you will at the end. So the open secret is out, and in town has arrived the biggest of hitters. Chanel are in Manchester, and the local diehards are asking if it's the newest Holt's best bitter. It's the international métier d'art, and to those who don't know, Manchester's usual idea of cultural is someone who talks all la-di-da and turn their noses up at beef paste in favour of foie gras. Taken over the northern quarter where in the distant industrial past, the area appeared in the dullest tones of sepia, though today is very different, celebs abound. You may be unlucky enough to bump into David and Victoria. Historically known as Cottonopolis, now a trendy hangout for acolytes of Oasis, greeting all their mates. Are you alright, Chris? Sat in cafes whenever it's not raining, the clouds are invariably cannabis. Getting a coffee in an ecologically reusable cup, though it's more likely because no one's asked to do the washing up. A roof has been erected over the full length of Thomas Street. The Chanel people have demanded that everyone has been upholding to be discreet. Nothing Parisian about this scene, just 40 yards of municipal concrete. A surrealist version worthy of René Magritte. As the models stroll down the catwalk, turn and wave au revoir, just where 24 hours ago you could still get 20 B&H from the permanently open spa. However, 15 minutes later it was all done and dusted. Goodbye, adieu. The A-listers were in complete shock when they were pointed towards the traditional transport. The bus queue for the 142. The aftershow at the party at the Victoria Baths is now in full swing, a scene that won't be lost in the sting. The champagne corks are popping and the glasses are overflowing. The stage is in the deep end of a disused swimming pool. The Manx recommended fashion for such an event is a cagoule. The headlining band have been warming up with the theme tune to Play School. I spy the keyboard player with the hairstyle of his time. It's back in and cool. I hear you ask, or was it Brian Cox and Dee Ream? Well, of course not. It's the maestro Teddy Miles banging the keys for Primal Scream. Thank you. Right, another one. You might have noticed some of the videos, Terry in some brand new attire.
Who's
Yellow.
paid for your attire, Terry?
Courtesy of Primark. It's a new face of Greg's. Richard Grutter said, open your lugholes. I hear that a certain someone has a freezer full of sausage rolls. A rumour that Greg's are on the payroll. Well, I want him. I can get hold of baseball jackets. I'm lining up that guy who's a keyboard bandit. And he knows a fella who's got a merchandising racket, flogging t-shirts down Seven Dials Market. The top brains is a fella from Ipswich. He's got exclusivity on Terry's merch. He doesn't license his leisure wear, doesn't need to. He's a millionaire. He wants no part of the sordid affair. He's retiring soon to Western Supermare. Well, left to his own devices, Richard has no option. He's now running a counterfeiting operation. A backstreet fashion house is supplying his snide version. With the dye still wet, he delivers his product to the customer, who immediately casts aspersion. Grutters, Greggs won't fall for this. Something is obviously amiss. Are you taking the piss? Blue and yellow. You're no sodding Michelangelo. And what is that logo? What's more, I spilled tango. You're only in this for profit, to fill your own pockets. You're a charlatan from Maine, always with intentions of gain. None of your gear is legit. Forget it. The open secret is out. Terry's the new face of Greg's. Richard turns away with his tail between his legs. Terry's bright new jacket is unveiled in all its glory, supplied courtesy of Cadillac Roy. He delights in telling Richard he's been hoodwinked. Nods him a wink. Roy laughs, telling him it was bought in Primark. Grutters, you are a black market shark. Terry's kept you in the dark. While Richard slinks away. It's all been too tawdry. Has anyone got his sausage roll? I'm hungry. Thank you.
My arms ache.
Timekeeping. Advertised times. Unlikely to be kept to. It doesn't matter. Terry time. On the Greenwich Meridian, it's not. Synchronise your clocks, Grutters on the telling bone, welcome the chat, tune the mood, programme Rex. The time is most definitely not sponsored by Accurist. Allegations in the waiting room that he may be Brahms or pianist. He's been out on the beat with a local experimentalist. Perhaps he's running late at an appointment with his manicurist. His fingers must be no less at their very best. His constant changing start times are very likely to perplex. Playlists changed at the last moment, now covered in Tipex, suffering the after effects of a self-inflicted asphalt vortex. Still using the clock on teletext, his times are all between and betwixt. He sets his watch to peal of the parish church bells. So he thought until he realised it's his doorbell, then the penny dropped. He's into his third bottle of Zinfandel. No bloody wonder he can't tell. He plays to a tune of Bolero, Ravel. Or maybe a little hanky-panky is overrun. No rules against that now after Brexit, no longer European. Well, who wouldn't mind that? Well, go on, son. Accusations of his timekeeping being somewhat Mickey Mouse, firmly denied by his loyal spouse. And he confirms there's no rodents in this madhouse. Kicks in the catwalk to the floors of this abode, the Pied Piper of Penpole Road. Terry's current horological device is definitely not on the mantle. It stands outside alone on a big stone pedestal, some old Victoriana, a present from Brendan Kavanagh, the hackney thinking man's George Santayana, his partner in crime on the St Pancras Joanna. Would you Adam and Eve it? It's a 4-foot-high sundial. This explains why he's far from being punctual. With little or no sun and overcast and cloudy, telling the time is far from bona fide, though I think it may have more to do with the open bottles of Vino Verde. His time should be taken with a pinch of salt. He was last seen out cruising in the Herald, turning up the asphalt. Little idea of the time comes to an immediate halt. Oh shit, it's the fan belt. I've got a show tonight. The waiting room will be wondering where I am. I'm miles away in Clapham. Desperately needs a delay taxi. I know, I'll WhatsApp the lamb. He'll spin it out, the live chat, and he can talk ad nauseum. For the 2-minute warning, Terry's been employing the use of an egg timer, a gift from Richard Grutters. He knew it was of no use. Sure to give Terry a dose of the blues, loves nothing more than dishing out some abuse. You can see it there on the shelf next to the signed picture of Dr. K. It was gifted to Terry so he could have something to hero worship. Only it was a demic, there's no sand in it. Terry didn't notice. That'll explain why all his eggs are hard boiled and his toast is burnt Hovis. It's the final straw. He gives up his current pair of analog 70s watches, a Tissot and Casio. He confesses they stopped working a long time ago. The reason was clear. They were souvenirs from Flintshire. Batteries not included. Precise time has never been important, to which he alluded. Times, he says, will have to remain approximate. No need to be considered at all accurate. It matters not. He will always be everyone's boogie woogie laureate. Thank you. There was a discussion whether or not Terry would do a rap regarding Richard Grutters and asked the audience to make their choice. So here we go, it's the Great Grutters Rap Referendum, Grexit. Hold the front page, Terry's book, Grutters Rap, to the vote. The bookies are out, so it's online at the toe. The voting is very tight. The yes and no camps are in a dogfight. Attempt to put the opposition out of sight. Doctoring voting slips with smudges and graphite. Makes Brexit look like a back page story. Many say bigger than any morning glory. It's been discussed in the highest of places and causing a right furore. The jury's still out on Richard Grutters. For some he's like Marmite and oysters, or is he just one of Terry's nutters? A constant live stream disruptor, though not without his supporters. If his demands aren't met, he's happy to besmirch Terry all over the media and Reuters. He's been laundering the money from his Terry's counterfeit CD operation at cash converters. Looks like he's been taking the balance in frankfurters. Though Richard is of few words, he's always certain to be absurd. He remains undeterred, though the thumbnail picture of him, some say, should be permanently blurred. The Grutters Rap is what it is, you've got to get the YouTube views. The Grutters Rap is what it is, just got to get the YouTube views. The man who has little or no need for any shampoo, a clandestine hero worship of the merchandising king. He's had a Cadillac Roy tattoo, together with his purloined famous red jacket, adorning a bronze, life-size statue. Well, who knew? With his reverse charge calls from Maine, his rhetoric in the chat is high octane. Richard is cheaply promoting and demanding subs for his new bootleg Grutters fanzine. He tells Terry he's the man people want, he's the new Springsteen. YouTube adjudicators have been tipped off and are investigating accusations of vote rigging. 2 centres have been identified as of interest. Coincidentally, both towns are named Bangor. For one man, rap is the musical last straw. More pleasure listening to Grutters snore. The other is a telephone operator's worst nightmare, lacking in the finer points of savoir-faire. His clothes are not loud and are definitely square. Though the uninitiated balk at the idea of the inclusion of the music genre rap, I have to tell you I will defend it against all accusations of those who say it's crap. Wham, Ant and Wicker all put it on the mainstream music map, like the finest poets, Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash, LL Cool J, Tone Loc and De La Soul are all fine wordsmiths of rap. Jim's not taking it lying down, he's taking it to the electoral ombudsman. He's serious, his face is deadpan. He declares this rap is no Chopin, choking on his Chevy Chambertin. He demands its place under an immediate ban. Sherry has been up all night crunching the numbers. With the sun coming up, is now fast asleep, golden slumbers. To extrapolate the facts, and to be honest, this science is not exact. Like Tracy Emin, it's to be considered a bit of fun and abstract. Sherry has had to vehemently deny having any affiliations and under any paid contract. The big announcement is coming at midday from Hackney Green. Already made her way down there is the boss Eileen, in a left-handed tambourine, in a right to Starbucks American Cardo cup of caffeine. It's to be broadcast across all news channels. Some nameless man will be shouting it locally from the banks of the Bridgewater Canal. The moment of truth is imminent. The crowd are getting patient. It isn't, it couldn't. The officer in charge of the declaration is Penny Mordaunt. And the winner is... Terry thought long and hard if the vote doesn't go to plan. Now that public piano players are persona non grata across the province of Sichuan, he may yet take up Dr. K's invitation on bashing pianos in Taiwan, or take his pub quest to the beer cellars of Bavaria, raise a stein to Thomas F. Moser, and take the V's up down the Autobahn. Thank you. Right. This is an old one. It was just a little ditty, and it's a poem for Elsie. You may remember this. On a Saturday night, prompt on 6, Elsie arrives with her musical tricks. Opens up with Royals as expected, as a precursor to the tune selected. Covers of Kiss Me and Daisy Bell, followed by Brand New Key and All Is Well. In the corner, Terry's suit shines bright on a hanger. I hear you shout a duet, please. Don't look back in anger. The crowd demands it's not enough, so we're getting our finale, a dragon called Puff. As Elsie exits stage right, she's jet up to the nines to be dancing all night. On her departure, forgets a Fanta and fruit pastel. Cool blimey, shut a party, the Elephant and Castle. Thank you.
Woo!
Because the last one's a long one. We'll just do an Oriental ode. Again, Terry on his adventures, travelling the world, banging the keys. So Terry landed safe and sound through business class Air Japan, while Hackney Airways could only get him as far as the Barbican. His quest to the land of the rising sun to boogie woogie in earnest began. Some confusion in translation when asking for pianos, when he's offered a bag of marshmallows. Terry's choice of attire impresses the locals. He's very flattered, puts it down to his red-tinted varifocals. Wearing his red socks, the question everyone's asking is, are they designed by Pierre Cardin? Highly unlikely, he said out of the back of Cadillac Roy's Nissan white van. He tries up the local cuisine in Tokyo, and on the menu is a selection of carpaccio. When he inquires about its origin, all covered in sauce, Gordon Bennett, it's horse! Terry's in the Orient for reasons of his vocation, little time for recreation, cider is in short supply. He considers to diversify, no time to get picky, it's pints of sake. Terry's always spoken about Nagasaki, though when asked where particularly his guide was cranky, for he replied Kendo Nagasaki, and a love of Kawasaki, teriyaki, and all things wacky, not backy. He's tickling the keyboards of Primal Scream. Yes, that's him in a kimono. What do you mean he looks more like Yoko Ono? It must be his hair. No need for blow cream, our man of savoir-faire. Terry's been admiring Bobby Gillespie's hair from afar, from behind the Yamaha, with a view just of it, the man and his guitar. He will expand further when he writes his memoir. Thank you. This is the one that started it all off, and it only started off as 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines, and it just grew and grew and grew. It took an eternity, but we got there in the end. And it starts off very nicely and descends into complete when it descends. And I'll dedicate this to Chris Kane. He was the custodian of the Penpole Palm, and this is the parable of the Penpole Palm. The people peered and politely pointed, practically palpitating at the pathetically plucked and pruned palm. Pedestrians puzzled and perplexed at the pile of the plundered parched and perished plumes, prone and prostrate on the pavement. Panic percolated and pandemonium proliferated. The palm was poorly, very poorly. The palm's protectors pondered its perdition. The prognosis was poor, post-mortem pending. No paracetamol, potion, pill or panacea could prevent the pain. The public took pity, put pen to paper. Prosecute the perpetrator, the protesters' pipes. Porridge, yes, prison, with no prospect of pardon or parole, is the preferred punishment. A period of penal pillory, penitence to be paid. Possibly Parkhurst, Pentonville perhaps. The plight of the Palms predicament was perilous, precariously placed on the precipice. The parish priest's pronouncement from the pulpit of the Palms paralysis and procrastinations appeared pessimistic. The parishioners proposed a prayer, a pledge, a promise. Perchance a pulse. Post-mortem postponed. The Palms passport to purgatory has been promptly placed on pause permanently. The proclamation from the pews proved positive. A premonition of prudent patience predicted the prized Palms passage to paradise in perpetuity. Like a proud peacock parading and posing in all its pomp, the palm produced priceless, peerless, precious, pristine, perfect plumes. The protagonist's persistence and perseverance parade. The palm's preservation is now perennial. Privately and personally, a papal prayer from our pontiff, the Pope, put the palm on the path to prosper in peace. Praise be, amen. And the moral? Don't piss off the Penpole Parish palm. So, the tree's okay. So there's a little party afterwards. The Pullman pulled up punctually at 5 p.m. on the St Pancras platform. Performers Pete Postlethwaite, Pete Perrott and Philippity joined the pageants and purveyors of the Penpole Palm, who poured out onto the plaza and pitched over the pilgrimage of the Palm's prophets, plaudits and passers-by, and pootled along the Penpole pavement, very well presented in paisley patterned pullovers, patch pocket pants and plimsolls procured from Primark. Picnics on butter pies and pasties, pecan, puff pastries and profiteroles on paper plates pilfered from the pantry of Patisserie Valerie. Played poker, puffed on panatellas and got pissed on pints of Aspel's, Pernod, Pims and pina coladas. As the party poppers popped, the platoon party, pole dance, pranced and pogos, pulp prodigy, primal scream and the proclaimers pumped out on the Panasonic. The paralytic projectile puked in the plant pots of purple pansies and pelargoniums, of puddles of piddle pooled in the porticos, while a promiscuous pair of paramours, passionately procreating in a Peugeot, performed the pushbike song on the pink piccolo and then propelled puncture prophylactics into the privet by the porches on the Penpole promenade. Until PC Plod passed by, perusing and patrolling the precinct in Panther cars, parked up, pepper sprayed and pronounced the partying over. Participation and pleasure is prohibited. The police provocation ending the proceedings prematurely. Pronto. The police presence perverted and prejudiced the patrons present. The prime press and paparazzi provided plentiful pertinent proof of the perjury in pictures and prints in the papers. The Penpole Post. To praise the police portrait from the paragraphs published, the Penpole party people, a pretentious posh billet, pampered and preened with the pungent perfume of petunia, permeating with all the personality of plodding pallet puppets, picking out on pulled pork paninis and prawn pasanders with poppadoms, partaking in pure out pastimes like pass the parcel, purported the police. Perturbed the prerogative of Penpole Parish President Baganucci and his prefects Page, Petier, Perkins, Pixie-Bell and Potter presided over the post-party police performance, a pantomime of prevarications and platitudes, pernicious propaganda and petulant paranoia as a prerequisite to puddle their pompous plastic permits as permission to patronise the Penpole party personnel. Peck and provocateur local experimentalist is to probe the patently primitive, pernickety, pedantic, pitiless, petty policing. His personal premise is to prepare and promote protests, to petition and ponder powerful police pressure and prick the poisonous bus of pandering politicians and preposterous parliamentary privileges and expenses. After a protracted period of purification and a persuasive plea from the plaintiff, progressive policies and protocols pursue the push for the perpetrator's probation. Penitence has been paid. The closing prayer, the tree's alive. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I think a round of applause for Dave.